The strangest thing about destiny is that it often arrives disguised as inconvenience. By 7:23 on a gray Tuesday morning, Claire Bennett was already 10 minutes behind schedule. The old coffee maker had stopped working. Lily's favorite sweater had disappeared somewhere beneath a mountain of clean laundry. And the weather forecast that promised sunshine had quietly surrendered to steady rain. Claire laughed anyway. Some mornings refused to be perfect. That did not mean they could not still be good. She buttoned her navy coat, adjusted the strap of her worn canvas tote bag, and gently zipped Lily's pink jacket before kneeling to her eye level. Ready to conquer the day? Lily smiled with complete confidence. I always am. That answer stayed with Claire all the way downstairs. Children believed tomorrow belonged to them. Adults usually forgot. The aging sedan started on the second attempt. Its engine rattled for a few seconds before settling into a familiar rhythm. Claire patted the dashboard gently. Just one more day. She was not speaking only to the car. 30 minutes later, she dropped Lily off at elementary school with one long hug and one quick promise. I will be here before the last bell. You promise? I promise. Lily ran toward the front entrance without looking back. Claire watched until the little backpack disappeared through the crowded hallway. Only then did she pull away from the curb. At exactly 8:12, her phone vibrated. An unfamiliar number. She answered through the hands-free speaker. Miss Bennett. Yes. This is Hawthorne Financial. Her heart skipped. We had an unexpected opening this morning. We reviewed your application again. If you can arrive before 9 o'clock, the interview is yours. For a moment, the entire world became wonderfully quiet. This was the opportunity she had been praying for. A stable salary, health insurance, regular hours, evenings with Lily. The future suddenly felt close enough to touch. I will be there. She ended the call and glanced at the dashboard clock. 48 minutes. Enough time. If everything went perfectly. 3 blocks later, traffic slowed. Construction crews had closed one lane. Claire inhaled slowly. It is fine. There is still time. Cars crept forward one by one. The rain grew heavier. Windshield wipers swept back and forth with patient rhythm. Then, without warning, a golden retriever slipped through an open neighborhood gate and bounded into the street. Claire pressed the brake pedal immediately. The sedan stopped only a few feet away. Coffee spilled across the center console. Her folder of resumes slid onto the passenger floor. The dog wagged its tail as though nothing unusual had happened. An elderly man hurried after him, breathing hard, one broken leash still hanging from his hand. I am terribly sorry. He never does this. Claire stepped out into the rain without hesitation. It is all right. No one was hurt. She crouched beside the friendly dog while helping gather the torn leash. Rain soaked the knees of her jeans. The elderly man looked embarrassed. You are going to be late because of me. Claire offered the leash back with a gentle smile. Some things are more important than a schedule. Across the street, behind rain-speckled windows of a black luxury sport utility vehicle, a tall man watched the entire scene without speaking. He wore a charcoal overcoat instead of a business suit. Nothing about him suggested he led one of the country's largest investment firms. Beside him, a woman closed a digital tablet. Phase 1 has begun. The man kept his eyes on Claire as she climbed back into her old sedan and carefully wiped rainwater from her resume folder before driving away. He finally spoke. Do not interfere. The assistant nodded. No changes. He looked through the windshield as the fading taillights disappeared into the rain. None. If kindness is real, it will never need an audience. Neither of them noticed the tiny smile on the elderly man's face as he walked home with his dog. He had played his part perfectly. And Claire Bennett continued toward what she believed was the most important interview of her life, never imagining that the first detour of her morning had already become the first move in a game she did not even know existed. Claire merged onto the freeway just as the dashboard clock changed to 8:36. 24 minutes remained. The windshield wipers kept perfect rhythm against the rain. Left, right, left, right. She quietly rehearsed answers inside her mind. Why do you want this position? Because I want my daughter to grow up watching stability instead of struggle. She smiled at the thought. The words sounded honest. That was enough. The traffic finally began moving again. Claire relaxed her shoulders for the first time all morning. Perhaps she would still make it. Then a flashing yellow sign appeared ahead. Road maintenance. One lane closed. Vehicles slowed almost immediately. Claire glanced at the navigation screen. Estimated arrival, 9:04. Her heartbeat quickened. No, please. She searched for another route. Every side street was already backed up. There was nothing to do except wait. 3 cars ahead. A delivery truck struggled to merge into the remaining lane. Most drivers accelerated to block it. Claire eased off the gas. She lifted one hand. The truck driver smiled gratefully before pulling in front of her. The delay lasted only a few seconds. To everyone else, it meant nothing. Across the freeway, inside the familiar black sport utility vehicle, Daniel Morgan quietly watched the traffic through tinted glass. His assistant studied several live maps displayed across her tablet. Subject has now lost approximately 93 seconds. Daniel never looked away from the highway. And the construction? Exactly on schedule. He remained silent. The assistant hesitated. Would you like us to clear the alternate route? No. His answer came gently. If we remove every obstacle, we learn nothing. Meanwhile, Claire finally reached downtown Portland. The rain had softened into a light mist. Towering office buildings reflected pale morning sunlight breaking through the clouds. She parked in the first available space and hurried toward Hawthorne Financial with her resume folder held beneath her coat. Water dripped from the edge of her sleeves. Her shoes splashed through shallow puddles. She reached the lobby at exactly 9:06, breathing hard, trying not to look discouraged. The receptionist recognized her immediately. I am so sorry, Miss Bennett. Claire already understood. The interview? The receptionist nodded with genuine sympathy. The hiring manager waited, but another applicant accepted the position just a few minutes ago. For a brief moment, Claire simply stood there. Not angry, not crying, just quietly absorbing another disappointment life had placed in front of her. She looked down at the slightly damp resume folder still pressed against her chest. So close. The receptionist offered an apologetic smile. I truly wish the timing had been different. Claire answered with the same kindness she had shown everyone else that morning. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate that. She turned and walked toward the exit without blaming anyone. Outside, the rain had stopped completely. Sunlight slowly warmed the sidewalk. Claire closed her eyes for one deep breath, then another. She whispered softly to herself, maybe something better is waiting. She did not fully believe those words, but she needed them anyway. Across the street, Daniel remained seated inside the parked vehicle. He watched her leave the building without frustration, without bitterness, without accusing the world of being unfair. His assistant quietly closed the tablet. Most candidates would have reacted differently. Daniel's eyes remained fixed on Claire as she paused to help an elderly woman retrieve a scarf that had slipped from her shopping bag and blown across the sidewalk. No hesitation, no audience, only instinct. A faint smile appeared before disappearing almost immediately. She does not know how to stop being kind. The assistant lowered her voice. No, she does not. Daniel looked toward the brightening sky. For the first time since the project began, he found himself hoping the next test would prove him wrong. Because every unexpected act of kindness from Claire Bennett made it a little harder to believe he had any right to be arranging the path beneath her feet. Claire stepped away from the glass building without looking back. She had learned long ago that disappointment became heavier if you stared at the door that had just closed. So she kept walking. Downtown Portland was slowly coming alive. Office workers hurried across intersections with paper coffee cups. Street musicians tuned old guitars beneath covered sidewalks. Delivery trucks rolled through narrow streets carrying another ordinary Tuesday into motion. Claire checked the time. She still had 3 hours before picking Lily up from school. Not enough time to return home. Too much time to spend feeling sorry for herself. Across the street, a small independent bookstore displayed a handwritten sign in the front window. Used books. Fresh coffee. Welcome in. She smiled faintly. A warm place sounded better than sitting alone inside her car. The little bell above the bookstore door chimed softly as she stepped inside. The familiar scent of old paper, fresh espresso, and polished wood wrapped gently around her. Some places felt peaceful the moment you entered. This was one of them. An elderly cashier looked up with a welcoming smile. "Take your time. We are in no hurry here." Claire laughed quietly. "I wish life worked that way." She wandered slowly between tall wooden shelves, letting her fingers brush across worn book spines. For a few precious minutes, nothing asked anything from her. Near the children's section, she noticed a little boy struggling to reach a brightly illustrated storybook resting on the highest shelf. Without saying a word, Claire reached up and carefully handed it to him. His face lit up. "Thank you. You are welcome." His grandmother smiled warmly. "You have a kind heart." Claire answered almost automatically. "My mother used to tell me kindness costs less than regret." The older woman nodded thoughtfully. "Your mother was a wise woman." Several aisles away, another customer quietly closed the book he had been pretending to read. Daniel Morgan had entered the bookstore 5 minutes earlier. Not as a billionaire. Not as a chief executive officer. Simply as another man wearing a navy sweater beneath a light gray jacket. He watched Claire from a respectful distance. No cameras inside. No assistants nearby. No reports to complete. Only observation. Only silence. She never searched the room to see who noticed. She never looked around after helping someone. She simply continued browsing as though generosity required no recognition. Daniel found himself smiling. Surprised him. His phone vibrated once. A short message appeared across the screen. "Proceed with scheduled interaction." His thumb hovered above the reply. For several seconds, he did nothing. Then he typed, "Keep it natural." Nothing more. As Claire reached the checkout counter with a second-hand children's novel for Lily, she searched through her wallet. Her smile faded. "I am sorry. I think I left my cash in the car." The cashier shook his head kindly. "We only have a few minutes before closing for inventory." Claire looked at the little book. Lily had been asking for it since the school library no longer had a copy. "It is all right. I will come back another day." Before she could step away, a familiar voice spoke from beside her. "If you do not mind, I would be happy to buy it." Claire turned. It was the same stranger who had helped repair her car. Their eyes met once again. She smiled politely, though a hint of surprise crossed her face. "We really need to stop meeting like this." Daniel laughed softly. "Perhaps Portland is smaller than we think." Claire shook her head with a warm smile. "Or perhaps today simply enjoys surprising me." Neither of them realized that the smallest surprise of the day was not standing between them. It was the quiet realization growing inside Daniel himself. For the first time since this carefully planned journey had begun, he was no longer waiting to discover who Claire Bennett truly was. He was beginning to hope she would never discover who he really was. Daniel placed the children's book gently on the counter before Claire could object. "It is only a book," he said with an easy smile. "And every good story deserves to be read." Claire shook her head politely. "I appreciate the offer, but I cannot let a stranger spend money on me." "You are not spending it on yourself." He glanced toward the colorful cover. "You are buying a memory for your daughter." She hesitated. That answer caught her off guard. The elderly cashier smiled knowingly. "I have learned something after 40 years in this store. The happiest books are usually gifts." Claire looked down at the novel for a long moment. Finally, she reached into her tote bag and found a few folded dollar bills tucked inside a small zippered pocket. She laughed softly. "I completely forgot these were here." Daniel smiled. "I suppose the book already belonged to you." She paid for the novel herself. As they stepped outside together, the afternoon sky had turned brilliantly blue. The rain clouds were gone. Only cool autumn air remained. Claire held the paper bag carefully against her chest. "Lily is going to love this. I am sure she will." For a few quiet steps, neither of them spoke. The city around them carried on with ordinary life. Buses arrived. Traffic lights changed. Someone laughed outside a nearby cafe. Everything felt strangely peaceful. "I never thanked you properly." Claire looked toward him. "For fixing my car." It was nothing. It was not nothing. It allowed me to get to work. He nodded politely. Then I am glad I happened to be nearby. Claire smiled. You certainly seem to appear at interesting moments. Daniel laughed. I have been told I have unusual timing. Before she could answer, an elderly street musician nearby struggled to lift a heavy folding chair after finishing his performance. Without thinking, Claire walked over. May I help? The man looked relieved. I would appreciate that. Together they folded the chair, gathered scattered sheet music, and packed the small speaker into a worn canvas case. The musician smiled warmly. I cannot offer much. But please. He held out 2 small homemade oatmeal cookies wrapped in wax paper. Claire accepted one. Only if you keep the other. It is a deal. Daniel watched the entire exchange quietly. She accepted gratitude with the same grace she offered kindness. Nothing felt rehearsed. Nothing looked performative. His phone vibrated once inside his jacket. He stepped several feet away before answering. Yes. His assistant's voice came through the secure line. Phase 4 is prepared. The employment agency has been notified. Daniel looked back toward Claire as she thanked the musician once more before waving goodbye. He remained silent. Sir. His answer came slower than expected. Delay it. A brief pause followed. The schedule depends on today's outcome. I know. Another silence. Then he spoke almost to himself. I want to see what she chooses when nothing has been arranged. The assistant did not answer immediately. That instruction had never appeared in the original project. Understood. The call ended. Daniel slipped the phone back into his pocket. When he turned around, Claire was already walking toward the public parking garage. She stopped halfway across the sidewalk and looked back. I never asked your name. He smiled. Daniel. I am Claire. I know. The words escaped almost automatically. Claire tilted her head slightly. You know. For the smallest fraction of a second, time seemed to stop. Daniel realized his mistake. Then he smiled with calm confidence. The cashier mentioned your name when you paid. Claire thought back. She remembered hearing it. At least, she believed she did. That makes sense. She laughed softly. I was beginning to think you might secretly know everything about me. Daniel forced a quiet smile. If only life were that simple. Claire waved before disappearing into the afternoon crowd. He remained standing exactly where she had left him. The city noise slowly returned around him. For the first time since this carefully designed journey had begun, the plan itself had started becoming unpredictable, because the greatest variable had never been Claire Bennett. It was the man who believed he could observe a human heart without risking his own. Claire reached the elementary school just as the final bell echoed across the playground. Children poured through the front doors carrying backpacks nearly as large as they were. Laughter filled the cool afternoon air. For a brief moment, the weight of the morning disappeared. Then she spotted Lily. The little girl waved both arms excitedly before running into her mother's embrace. You came. I promised. Claire hugged her tightly. And I always intend to keep my promises. Lily noticed the paper bookstore bag almost immediately. Is that? Claire smiled. It is. She carefully handed over the children's novel. Lily gasped as though she had just been given something priceless. I thought they did not have it anymore. They did. They were simply waiting for the right reader. Lily hugged the book against her chest. I am going to read every page. Claire laughed. I believe you. They walked slowly toward the parking lot, talking about school projects, spelling tests, and which classmate had accidentally spilled chocolate milk during lunch. Ordinary conversations, the kind Claire treasured most. She unlocked the old sedan. The engine started without complaint this time. Thank you, she whispered to the dashboard. Lily looked confused. Who are you talking to? Our little car. It decided to cooperate today. Lily giggled. I think it likes you. Across the street, hidden behind the reflective windows of a quiet office building, Daniel watched them leave. He was no longer seated inside the sport utility vehicle. Instead, he stood alone with a cup of untouched coffee. His assistant approached carrying another tablet. The employment agency is ready. Daniel remained silent. They can schedule the next opportunity tomorrow morning. Still no answer. She looked at him carefully. You changed the timeline twice today. I did. That has never happened before. He nodded slowly. I know. The assistant lowered the tablet. You are becoming emotionally involved. Daniel looked toward the school parking lot, where Claire was helping Lily fasten her seatbelt before closing the passenger door with gentle care. I am becoming uncertain. There is a difference. She waited. He finally continued. I designed this project because I believed pressure revealed character. His voice grew quieter. But she behaves exactly the same when no pressure exists. He paused. And somehow, that matters even more. The assistant studied him for several seconds. What happens if she changes you before you finish studying her? Daniel smiled faintly. Then perhaps I was the one being evaluated all along. The question lingered between them. Neither of them spoke again. Meanwhile, Claire stopped at a neighborhood grocery store before heading home. Their refrigerator needed milk, bread, eggs, only the essentials. Inside the checkout line, an elderly veteran quietly searched every pocket of his worn jacket. His face reddened with embarrassment. I am afraid I left my wallet at home. The cashier offered an understanding smile. I can hold the groceries until tomorrow. Claire glanced into her own shopping basket, then at the veteran. Without hesitation, she placed his groceries beside hers. I would like to pay for both. The elderly man immediately protested. No, I cannot accept that. Claire smiled gently. Then consider it a thank you for everything your generation gave mine. The old man's eyes filled with quiet gratitude. You do not even know me. I do not have to. She paid before he could argue again. As she picked up her bags, she never noticed the security mirror hanging quietly above the checkout lanes. Nor did she notice a familiar figure standing near the entrance, hidden behind a newspaper rack. Daniel had seen everything. Again, and for the first time since the project began. He did not write another observation in his mind. He simply stood there, watching a woman whose kindness no longer felt like evidence. It felt like truth. That evening, the small apartment felt warmer than usual. A pot of tomato soup simmered quietly on the stove. The scent of toasted bread drifted through the kitchen while Lily sat at the dining table, reading the first chapter of her new book aloud with determined concentration. Claire listened while washing the dinner dishes. Every few sentences, Lily stopped to ask about a word she did not know. Claire always answered with patience. There is no rush. The story will still be there after the next page. Lily smiled. I like reading with you. I like listening. Outside the kitchen window, the last colors of sunset slowly disappeared behind rows of maple trees. The day had been exhausting, yet somehow, it still ended with peace. Claire tucked Lily into bed just before 8:30. Another promise. Another bedtime story. Another forehead kiss. Will tomorrow be better? Lily asked the question so quietly that it almost disappeared beneath the blanket. Claire brushed a loose strand of blonde hair away from her daughter's face. I think tomorrow always deserves a chance. Lily nodded sleepily. I believe you. Within minutes she was asleep. Claire remained beside the bed for a little longer, watching the slow rise and fall of her daughter's breathing. Those quiet moments reminded her what she was fighting for. Across the city, the lights remained on inside Morgan Crest Tower. Daniel stood alone in his private office overlooking downtown Portland. The skyline stretched endlessly beyond the glass. His assistant entered carrying another folder. The agency confirmed an interview tomorrow morning. Daniel accepted the folder but did not open it. Has she been notified? Not yet. We were waiting for your authorization. He walked toward the window. Below, thousands of people hurried through ordinary evenings without realizing how many decisions quietly shaped their lives. His own voice sounded different when he finally spoke. Cancel tomorrow's adjustment. The assistant looked surprised. Sir, if another opportunity reaches her, it will happen naturally. She searched his face for several seconds. That is not how this project was designed. Daniel nodded. No, it is not. Silence settled between them. At last she asked the question she had been avoiding. Do you still want the truth? Daniel looked back at her. I do. But I no longer want to manufacture it. She quietly closed the folder. Understood. When she left the office, Daniel remained standing beside the window. For months, every outcome had depended on careful planning. Tonight, certainty no longer comforted him. Meanwhile, Claire sat at her small kitchen table balancing monthly bills. Rent, utilities, insurance, groceries. She crossed out numbers with a worn pencil, recalculating each total twice. The remaining balance barely covered another week. She closed the notebook before frustration could settle into her heart. Instead, she reached for a small envelope tucked inside the kitchen drawer. On the front, written in Lily's careful handwriting, were 4 simple words. For Mommy's happy days. Claire smiled. Inside were $7 bills, birthday money, loose change, small rewards from helping neighbors rake leaves. Every dollar Lily had quietly saved. A folded note rested beneath the money. If you need this before I do, it already belongs to you. Claire covered her mouth as tears quietly filled her eyes. Not from sadness, from love. She gently placed every dollar back inside the envelope. No, she whispered softly into the quiet kitchen. You keep dreaming. I will keep believing. Far away, Daniel sat alone in the darkness of his office after everyone else had gone home. The city reflected across the glass behind him. For the first time since the project began, he was no longer asking whether Claire Bennett possessed uncommon kindness. He already knew the answer. The question that refused to leave him now was far more personal. If compassion could survive every inconvenience life placed before her, why had success slowly convinced him that control mattered more than trust? The next morning arrived with clear skies. For the first time in days, sunlight poured through Claire's apartment window instead of rain. She stood quietly beside the coffee maker, holding the small envelope Lily had hidden for her the night before. She smiled, then carefully returned it to the kitchen drawer. Some gifts were too precious to spend. Lily skipped into the kitchen wearing her favorite yellow sweater. Good morning, Mommy. Good morning, sunshine. I dreamed we were at the beach. Claire poured 2 glasses of orange juice. That sounds like a wonderful dream. We built the biggest sandcastle ever. Claire laughed. Then someday we will. Not because she knew how, because hope deserved to be spoken out loud. After dropping Lily at school, Claire drove toward the diner for another morning shift. Halfway there, her phone rang. The caller identification showed an unfamiliar business number. She answered carefully. Hello. Good morning, Miss Bennett. My name is Rebecca. I work with Northwest Career Placement. Claire slowed slightly as she approached a red light. How can I help you? We recently received your resume through one of our partner companies. There may be an administrative position that matches your experience. Claire felt her heartbeat quicken. When is the interview? There is no interview yet. We would simply like to meet you this afternoon. Claire smiled despite herself. I would appreciate that very much. They agreed on a time before ending the call. She rested both hands on the steering wheel. This opportunity felt different. No rushing. No impossible deadlines. No race against the clock. Just a conversation. Across town, Daniel sat in his office holding the same message his assistant had sent only moments earlier. She received the independent referral. He looked toward the skyline before quietly placing the phone face down on his desk. His assistant entered without knocking. The agency contacted her. I know. You did not arrange it. No. She watched him carefully. It happened on its own. Daniel nodded. Exactly. For reasons he could not fully explain, that simple fact brought him more satisfaction than every carefully orchestrated encounter before it. Life had moved without his hand. Somehow, that felt right. Later that afternoon, Claire arrived at the modest offices of Northwest Career Placement. The receptionist welcomed her warmly. We are running about 10 minutes behind. I do not mind. Claire settled into a chair near the waiting area. Across from her sat a middle-aged woman holding several folders that slipped from her lap onto the floor. Without hesitation, Claire bent down to help gather every scattered paper. I am so sorry. The woman smiled with embarrassment. My hands seemed determined to make today interesting. Claire handed back the last folder. Some days simply need a little extra patience. The woman laughed. I hope employers appreciate people like you. Claire smiled. I hope so too. Several feet away, hidden behind lightly tinted glass inside a private conference room, Daniel quietly watched the interaction through the open blinds. He had not planned this. No employee had arranged it. No assistant had suggested it. No report would ever classify this moment. Simply happened. Claire had once again chosen kindness when absolutely nothing depended on it. Daniel slowly closed the observation folder resting on the conference table. He did not need another page. He did not need another photograph. He did not need another carefully designed circumstance. The evidence had stopped being evidence. It had become conviction. His assistant entered softly. Do we continue? Daniel looked toward Claire one last time. Then he answered with complete certainty. No. We tell her everything. The words settled quietly inside the room. Outside, Claire continued talking with the woman she had just helped, completely unaware that the stranger she had unknowingly changed was finally preparing to place truth above control. And before the day was over, every coincidence she had accepted with grace would finally reveal the hand that had been quietly guiding them from the very beginning. The receptionist returned with a warm smile. Miss Bennett, they are ready for you now. Claire stood, smoothed the front of her navy blazer, and followed her down a quiet hallway lined with framed photographs of local businesses and community events. This office felt different. Smaller. More personal. No marble floors. No towering glass walls. Just ordinary people building ordinary careers. For reasons she could not explain, she felt comfortable. The receptionist stopped outside a conference room. You may go in. Claire thanked her softly and opened the door. She froze. Daniel stood beside the conference table, not wearing the casual sweater she had come to recognize, not pretending to be another customer. He wore a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. Everything about him suddenly matched the confidence he had quietly carried all along. Claire looked at him in silence, then around the room. No one else was there. Daniel. His expression remained calm. There is something I need to tell you. She slowly stepped inside. The door closed behind her. I thought this was an interview. It is not. Confusion crossed her face. Then why am I here? Daniel motioned toward the chair across from him. Please. She remained standing. I think I would rather hear the truth first. For several long seconds, neither of them spoke. Sunlight filled the room with an almost uncomfortable brightness. Finally, Daniel opened the black leather folder resting on the table. Inside were photographs. The rainy street. The bookstore. The grocery store. The diner. The elementary school parking lot. The community shelter. Every moment that had slowly become part of Claire's life. She stared at the images, then back at him. What is this? My responsibility. His voice had lost every trace of confidence. I owe you an explanation. Claire slowly picked up the first photograph. It showed her kneeling beside the elderly man and his golden retriever in the rain. The next, helping gather flower pots, then paying for the veteran's groceries, then comforting the little boy with the balloons. Each page revealed another memory she believed had happened by chance. Her breathing became slower, not faster. What am I looking at? Daniel met her eyes. You are looking at every moment I arranged. Silence. The words seemed too impossible to understand. The broken leash. I arranged it. The delayed interview. I arranged it. The bookstore. I arranged that too. The referral agency. I did not arrange. His voice softened. That one happened without me. Claire looked back at the photographs. One after another. The pattern she had never seen suddenly became impossible to ignore. Her voice remained almost perfectly calm. You followed me. I observed you. You changed my days. Yes. You decided which opportunities one reached, and which ones I missed. Daniel lowered his eyes. Yes. Claire placed every photograph back inside the folder with careful hands. She did not slam it shut. She did not raise her voice. She simply looked at the man standing in front of her. The stranger who fixed my car. That was you. Yes. The man in the bookstore. Yes. The customer at the diner. Yes. Every answer sounded heavier than the last. She stepped closer. Not in anger. In disbelief. I thanked you. Daniel nodded once. I know. I trusted you. I know. I believed the world was placing kind people in my path. She swallowed quietly. But it was never the world. It was you. The room fell completely silent. Outside the conference room window, employees continued walking through ordinary hallways, unaware that two lives had just reached the moment where every carefully hidden truth finally stood in full daylight. And for the first time since Daniel Morgan had convinced himself he was studying another person's character, he realized the person standing under judgment was no longer Claire Bennett. It was himself. Claire closed the folder with gentle care and rested both hands upon it. The room remained completely still. No anger. No raised voices. Only the quiet sound of two people realizing they could never return to the moment before the truth. She looked at Daniel for a long time. Finally she spoke. You learned that I would help strangers. He nodded. Yes. You learned that I would choose kindness. Yes. You learned that I would keep my promises to my daughter whenever I could. His answer came almost as a whisper. Yes. Claire's eyes never left his. But tell me something. Daniel waited. Who gave you permission to rewrite pieces of my life just to answer your own questions? The words landed with quiet precision. They carried no bitterness, only honesty. Daniel lowered his gaze. No one. I told myself every delay was temporary. I convinced myself every inconvenience served a greater purpose. He paused. I was wrong. Claire slowly walked toward the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. Hundreds of people crossed busy intersections below. Every one of them carried dreams no stranger could fully understand. You know what hurts the most? She asked without turning around. It is not the missed interview. It is not the rain. It is not even discovering who you really are. She rested one hand lightly against the cool glass. It is realizing that someone looked at my ordinary life and believed it belonged to them. Silence answered her. Daniel felt every word. I cannot defend what I did. You should not. I can only apologize. He stepped closer, leaving several respectful feet between them. I spent years believing leadership meant understanding people. But I never realized understanding begins with respect. I respected the data. I forgot to respect the person. Claire closed her eyes briefly. Then she turned back toward him. For the first time since entering the room, she saw no billionaire, no strategist, no architect of impossible coincidences, only a man carrying genuine regret. I do not know whether I will ever forgive you. Daniel accepted the answer immediately. You do not owe me forgiveness. She nodded once. Thank you. Those two words surprised him. She continued quietly. Because at least this apology belongs to you. It was not arranged. No, it was not. Several weeks later, Morgan Crest Holdings released a company-wide announcement. Every behavioral observation program ended permanently. Hidden employee evaluations were abolished. A new family support initiative provided emergency childcare, transportation assistance, flexible schedules, and financial counseling for working parents facing unexpected hardship. At the bottom of every announcement appeared one simple sentence. Trust grows when people are supported, not when they are secretly tested. Claire never accepted a position within Daniel's company. Instead, Northwest Career Placement introduced her to another employer, who hired her after an honest interview and an ordinary conversation. No hidden plans. No invisible hands. Only her own ability. On her first morning, Lily hugged her before school. You got the job all by yourself. Claire smiled. I always had help. She looked toward the bright morning sky. It just came from the right people. Across the street, a black sedan paused briefly at a traffic light. Daniel noticed Claire and Lily walking toward the office entrance together. Claire noticed him too. Neither waved. Neither crossed the street. Some stories did not need another conversation. Only understanding. The light turned green. The sedan drove away. Claire squeezed Lily's hand a little tighter before continuing forward. And somewhere between the roads they no longer shared, Two lives carried the same lesson into very different futures. Money can open doors, power can move mountains, but the quiet dignity of another human life should never become an experiment, because the greatest measure of character is not what kindness survives. It is whether we choose to honor it without ever asking it to prove itself.